Well, we might as well use this as a segue to jump into the second part. Well, not the second half anymore, but just the second part of the best and worst of the Bond special, right? So in this case, it's gonna be well about Daniel Craig, right? So we have five films to just run through. And basically, what we're gonna do here is just sort of run through, just rank basically, the Bond teams of that era, from top favorite to least favorite, and then we're gonna pick best and worst James Bond film from that era as well, right? So just to kick things off, right? Just to kick things off proper, right? You know, it was like while preparing for No Time to Die, I just couldn't help but remember, back when Casino Royale dropped, right, in 2006, right? And seeing it in theaters and just being blown away, right? And today I still rank it amongst one of the best action films ever made, in my opinion, right? And just thinking about it again, though, what really makes it work, though, is that reinvents the character in a smart way, though. But it really does feel like the origin story that we never got before, right? That's why a lot of people made the comparison with Batman Begins. Like, this is the Batman Begins of the Bond franchise, right? Like, we've never really got it before. And just it just makes perfect sense that the Broccoli's, right, who at the time were thinking about the next direction of Bond following 9/11, right? That's why they had to drop Pierce Bronson after Die Another Day, right? So it's like, yeah, let's go back to the beginning, right? And that's what they did. They went to Ian Fleming's first Bond novel, that would be Casino Royale, and out of that they just crafted such a great film. It basically deconstructed Bond, though, but at the same time show Bond before he became the Bond that he is, right? And then I would say that the two subsequent films now was where he became the character that we know from all the other films, right? So yeah, I would say for me, Casino Royale was just a hell of a way to kick things off. The mere fact that they got Martin Campbell back to just inject life into this franchise was just amazing, in my opinion, though. Quadruple Solace, I still felt, dropped the ball in terms of just taking the Bond character further. And, you could have said, well, it was a writer's strike and blah, blah, blah. And, we brought in Paul Haggis last minute or something like that, right? But yeah, that one really did feel like, there was a show in the direction of the character, right? But then, Skyfall was a return to form, you know what I mean? And I would still see this as my second favorite Bond film. And, what I love about it really was that it paid a lot of tribute to the old films and this kind of bridge a gap between both the old school and the new school Bond, right? So it gave you, just subtle hints of the older films, right? The Sean Connery stuff, right? But at the same time, you felt the progression of the character. And then, of course, with the character of M, played brilliantly at that point by Judi Dench, right? And then Spectre happened, and, I never forgot being so excited to see Spectre, though. That teaser trailer was so amazing, in my opinion, though. The way how they built tension there. And then
Christoph
when you saw
Waltz,
it, yeah, then here Christoph Waltz, right, who had won two Oscars at the time,
you
right?
know,
And then you see it now, and it's typical.
not
I
believe
need
them
to
that
carry you
nonsense.
to my secret lair. I need to tell you about my plan, and I'm gonna inject stuff in
I,
your brain.
I'm the
And
author
then
of
I'm
your
gonna,
pain. That
yeah, I'm the
bullshit.
author of your pain. And oh, by the way, I may or may not be your brother, huh? Or
Uh,
and all that kind of stuff. It's just like, oh, come on, right? And then of course, well, talk just now there about No Time to Die and thoughts on that, right? But just as the intro, right? Just quick intro. Ricardo, just your thoughts on on Craig's Bond films.
yeah, right. So I thought he comedy get really strong with Casino Royale. I love Casino Royale. I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I did. Like I went in because like yeah, they're just trying to like one of the earlier trailers had him looking a lot like Sean Connery. So I thought we were gonna get that. Like, oh, they're gonna try to tap into Sean Connery energy and do that. And like, yeah, I thought it wouldn't have been that good. And then I just ended up really enjoying the film. Great script, a lot of great side characters in it. This fella, what's his name? Blanco, black actor. He with
Oh,
the machete.
the yes,
Yeah,
yes,
he
yes.
was good. The villain was good.
Yeah,
They had
who
Eva
shows up?
Green.
Who's like one of Jim Jarmusch's go-to
Go to yeah,
actors?
actors, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
That guy.
yeah. That
Sorry,
guy. He was in Ghost Dog, and he was in
Ghost Dog, right? He was a Ghost Dog.
I forgot
He was a
the
Black
other film.
Panther.
Yes, he was.
He
He
was Black
was.
Like
Yeah.
Panther. Yeah,
Mhm.
the
but no,
guy.
like
Sorry, but plate in his lower lip.
yeah.
Right. That guy.
Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. The guy with
Yeah, the
the
playwright.
plate
Yeah,
on
they
his
had
lip.
that
Yeah,
that
on his
correct.
lower
Yeah.
lip. Yeah.
Yeah, it was fantastic in my opinion. Just a solid script, great action from start to finish in my opinion. And they actually make a goddamn card game exciting, Drew. Like they make that work. And then
I know,
and
right?
then the height of the movie where I knew I would absolutely love this movie, Dutch scratching, right? Look it up, or
Yes,
probably not. You shouldn't. But when they did that scene, I was like, they actually have this in a Bond movie. When he asked
I
you, it's
know,
real bad
right?
though.
Yeah,
But it was pretty badass. All things are wrong. Loved it.
yeah.
One of
Right,
the main
right,
reasons I
right
like
side, right side.
yeah,
Yes, yes.
one of the main reasons I really liked it is they incorporated basically a post 9/11 narrative in Bond. Like that was like really smart. Like at the time, everybody's like, "Wait, how are you gonna do Bond in this post-terror world?" And what you call it, the Bond franchise taking over. And no, they actually like justify MI6's purpose. They make a good counter narrative to the American approach because the war in Iraq was well on the way at its point. So there's a really smart like script in that sense. I was like, no, it still have a lot of money flowing and real world how to deal with terrorism. Like there's that message of aesthetics and approaches made it work in my opinion. That at least for me, 2006 Ricardo, right? Um, that's why it worked. And then yeah, Judy Dent as M comes back. She's great. She has good chemistry with Daniel Craig. They bounce off each other. In fact, I think they bounce off better than her and what do you call him? Uh,
P.S.
and
Bronson.
Pierce Brosnan did. I felt, and yeah, I just really enjoyed this film. Quantum of Solace squandered all of that, right? I didn't hate Quantum of Solace in principle. Now here's the thing with Quantum of Solace: if you watch it right after Casino Royale, it's not that bad, right? In my opinion, if you do that,
True,
it
true,
because
true.
it works as a kind of just a general denouement to Casino Royale. If it, but it's basically an extended denouement. That's what it feels like. Like just a ending. Like it's
Yeah,
just a
and I
post
actually appreciate like the final moments, and then when you
right.
see the iconic gun barrel thing. No, that was cool. That was cool. That was cool.
Right,
I like
yeah,
that.
and
Yeah.
it's a good postscript. The script was a little too grounded in my opinion. Like it's just about water rights in Bolivia. And by the way, the whole story is a lot more grounded, or I should say, it's less villainous than the real story behind the water rights. Like if you do that little piece of research, it's like, oh, the real world people are actually more villainous than the Bond villains. Like what
This
the
is
hell?
what this is a real thing that I'll get to
Yeah,
later because yeah,
yeah,
reasons.
yeah. And so but that's why I felt the script didn't work. It was a little too grounded and a little too realistic, and it didn't tie in particularly well. Like I know I mentioned 9/11 before, but like with this, it just kind of a little too. It doesn't tie in, and it's not that interesting. To be fair, like you have to do like here's the thing with that. It's very villainous, but it's not interesting, right? It's genuinely villainous. All that shenanigans involving water rights in Bolivia, but not interesting. And I felt they needed to spice it up. Le Chiffre in Casino Royale was interesting, right? And grounded, but still interested. This is like more bureaucracy shenanigans, but it makes sense. And the villain was basically evil Al Gore. It worked. So to that extent, I don't love Skyfall anywhere near as much as anyone else. But my boy, the cinematographer, he's the one who saved that movie, right?
Oh yeah,
Uh,
Roger Deakins.
Roger Deakins saved
Wow,
the movie.
wow, wow, wow,
Real
wow,
saved
wow,
that.
wow, wows,
The movie looks
wows.
yeah, the movie looks amazing. It had an okay script, but because it reminded me too much of Dark Knight, I couldn't get into it. But it is still fine for what it was, and I dug it. But yeah, Roger Deakins saved that shit, like real save it. But for the most part, it just it's kind of it doesn't really work all that well for me. It's kind of silly, and I felt they could have done more with Bond's characterization in this one. It's more of M's movie in this one. I felt because she had to kind of explain and justify her existence and justify
Mm.
an MI6's existence, and I like that part. But for the most part, it just didn't. It's nowhere near as good as I thought it could have been. But it's still fine. But I like it. Roger, you can save it, as they say. And then we get to Spectre. Holy shit! How to squander a fucking movie, Dread. How to squander
Oi.
premise, how to squander villains, how to squander idea. I mean, this was a mess top to bottom. I was so pissed off. I was so pissed off at this movie. I mean, Christoph Waltz, good gosh, you get. I mean, he just come out like a bat out of hell for me with that Tarantino movie,
Yeah,
Inglourious
Inglorious
Bastard,
Bastards. Yeah.
Inglourious Bastard, right? And I was like, yo, this dude amazing. And we have a bunch of other films coming down the pipeline. Did Django Unchained come out before this?
It came out. Yeah, it came out before. It came
Right,
out
right,
before.
right. So he was already right. So he was already right. I had it right. Django Unchained, great in that. I enjoy him in everything. And so I thinking, Bond movie, boy, again a hard movie. I was not as disappointed. This was probably one of the bigger disappointments in a film since Kevin Spacey as Lex Luthor. Like it was that level of crap. Like I
You just
cannot,
had to remind me of that, huh?
yeah, but I could not believe how did you mess up this one. The script sucked. Like, and then they basically rip off Winter Soldier. Nothing was working in this. Again, for some reason, M was kind of dumb in this. Like, not as bad as in this new film, but he's still kind of dumb. Like, it's like,
Yeah, like he got fooled so easily
yeah,
by
it's
that
like you
guy
could
who
make like
just
some
came in.
smarter,
Yeah,
you could make some smarter cautionary decisions with this, and you could like design this out, and they just have him just like bungling about now. Like it's not working at all.
right.
As I said, it's just a mess. It doesn't work, and I did do the author of your pain nonsense, and then the reveal that what Blofeld was to Bond, I almost walked out of the theater. I was like, what? That's so dotish, eh? Whatever. I'm glad it was in and out. But Lea Seydoux was okay in it, and it had some cool moments. Q was pretty good in it. I thought, I actually enjoyed some of his moments, and he was pretty funny in it. So I was trying to pull the good out of it. My boy Drax the Destroyer was in this, and he was okay in it. I thought he could have.
Yeah, even though he's pretty much played the same tough guy from
Yeah,
Russia with Love, right?
right. I didn't mind that. It was all right. He was okay, and I was like, all right. He wasn't that intimidating other than his size. But usually guys like that supposed to be like just stone cold killers. But it was all right. The fight at the end was okay. They could have do more with it, but it was kind of goofy. It reminded me of the final fight in Live and Let Die in the train, similar,
Oh
a
yeah, that yeah.
little bit like. That's about it. Yeah, it was a mess, rubbish. And well, this new one, it came and went. It was a film. um,
It was a film that
it
came
was
out in
a film.
2021.
Yeah,
We
it's
waited for it.
it's
We waited for
one
it,
of
and then it came out.
it
So
was
we
one it was one of the films I watched. I mean,
yes, it
it,
was.
it just
It
came
was
and
the
went.
first film I saw on big screen since
Right,
the lockdown. So
right. Nothing about it really stuck out, and it was just a bunch of squandered opportunities. Not as bad as Spectre, not as bad as Spectre, but still pretty bad. Like it was just, they could have do way more with this, for the most part. But I didn't hate it. It's fine. I give it a 5 out of 10, as you heard. So yeah, that's it.
all right, Tracy, just quick run through of just how you felt about well, four of the five Craig Bond films.
I'm in that whole when I first saw Daniel, I legitimately thought Sean. So I had that even that whole the scene with him coming out of the water in the trunks and the face and everything. I was like, okay, that's Sean. But Daniel actually gave me, for want of a better way of putting it, Daniel felt like life. Um, in it. I remember when so PS was finished and that was it. And I can't remember. I went on with my life as per usual, and then news broke that they have the new actor. And they love to do these press conferences and everything around it to let everybody know what's happening. And here he is, Daniel Craig. And I was trying to remember what I had seen him in because I can't remember seeing him in anything.
Oh,
So
as you
for
say that, right? The one film I remember seeing him for, and even though it's a small role, I loved it. Road to Perdition.
you
He
know,
was
Right,
Paul
right, right,
Newman's
right, right. Yeah.
son in it. That actually is one of my all time favorite movies. I would dare say one of my all time favorite Tom Hanks films. Like period.
and then
He's
and then
also
hmm?
good. He's also got that starring role in a Matthew Vaughn's Layer Cake.
Right,
Yes,
Right.
right,
yes.
right. Yeah, 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 yeah.
The highest case for me, if you really want to have a bit of hilarity, is consider the American accent Daniel Craig in a what is it? What was it? It was Lara Croft 2, and he is Lara Croft 1. Lara Croft 1. Was it 1? Was it 2? Was it 1? It was 1. The
Yeah,
first
yeah,
one.
yeah, right. Yeah,
So
he was in that.
he's
Yeah.
in a, and I mean the American is with the British accent, and the British guy is the other archaeologist with the American accent. So that is the only thing. I didn't even remember. I honestly layer cake and all that other stuff that really fall into my brain. It's Lara Croft. But I was really happy to see like what Casino Royale did. My take with Bonds is that there's always Bond tends to work in flux. One film is going to be stellar or in the very least good, and then the other one is going to be meh, or at the very worst worst. So that sort of quote unquote tradition continued on inside Daniel's movies. But I felt like it was really cool. The one hilarity that I remember on a side is when he had finished Spectre, and like about a month afterwards, or sometime close to, well, not really a month, but like sometime close to launch, reporter asked him if he's ready to go and do it again, and he said he would rather, run glass in his eyes or something along those lines. And a few people, including Ellen
Well, to be
Pompeo,
clear, he said he would rather break a glass and slit his wrist.
right, there you go.
Okay.
I remember there were a few people who were a little annoyed with him for saying that because he was, you know, but then you realize, and I think he himself clarified it, the idea of you've just come off of working on this and all this stunts and everything like that. You need some time to breathe before you even think about the other one, and maybe before they, roll a truck in front of your house with money. Um, so there's that. I have yet to see, if I'm being really honest, I have yet to see No Time to Die. I can't get away from my desk right now. I've yet to see No Time to Die. But I suspect I will still go in with my jacket and my shades and pretend to be, Mr. Bond, and go and have, I don't know, a orange juice shaken or stirred. I don't know what the hell will happen. But therein lies that, and like Sir Bailey, I do intend to go and get the because yeah, I have most of them on DVD. I do suspect that, seeing as how all of these films are over, they might come out with some sort of special re something special edition with
Probably.
all of them together again, as they
For
tend to
in
procrastinate.
4K, in 4K. I don't think
Yeah.
is there a 4K release?
I
Probably there
don't
is.
I don't think so.
Or maybe they're
I'm
gonna
not
wait
sure.
until No Time comes out officially, and then they're gonna
Yeah.
put up 125. So
Yeah,
yeah,
so you're gonna have the quarter bond and all the other good stuff.
yeah.
I generally liked how Daniel portrayed over the course of the films. Even if at times, certain things within the script or the story on the whole was left to be desired, Daniel as a Bond, okay, I didn't have a problem with it. It was Daniel as a Bond, Pierce as a Bond, except for that one which shall never be named again. And then, of course, The World Is Not Enough. And then a few of the others in the back there. Daniel, for me, is at the top. Well, not at the top, that's a lie. But Daniel is up there in terms of his portrayal of James. So yeah, that's my little take on this whole scene.
All right, and before we get to our respective lists, right? So, CC, as someone who was recently introduced to the world of Bond, just quick overall thoughts on the Daniel Craig films up to Spectre.
Right. It was because okay, you have to remember that I came into the Daniel Craig films at the tail end of just having made it through 20 Bond movies and having just watched Die Another Day, and I was exhausted. I was very done and very bored with this franchise and the formula and questioning why it was so popular. And then I watched Casino Royale and I was like, oh, here we go. Here we go. And I got that pleasant, like that pleasant feeling that I get with like only if with very few of the James Bond movies where I almost feel like I understand it for a moment, right? I'll get more into that when we talk about favorites and least favorites, but no, like at the time it was exciting, and I was like, oh, okay, and I was shocked by how self aware it was, because the fact that Bond's aggression and his Bond's aggression and his anger and his um just like just like this, how much he seemed to think that the solution to problems was to shoot them or punch them, and then being sent on a mission where he has to tap into that whole suave thing was really clever, and it was a good way to mess with the conventions of Bond. I was like, oh, okay, I'm here for this. This looks really cool. And then I watched Quantum of Solace, which It's amazing how my two least favorite Daniel Craig movies are bad, but for completely different reasons. Because Quantum of Solace isn't bad in a Bond film way; it's bad in an incoherent 2000s action film
Yep.
way, where
Yep.
it's all the worst tropes of the incoherent action scenes,
Yeah.
convoluted writing,
Chaos
We
cinema.
don't shaky cam. No one wants
Chaos
shaky
cinema.
cam in
What's
Bond.
up for that?
Yeah.
chaos cinema that like legitimately started because I like the thing about 2000s action films was you started with like Tony Scott, who was interested in like trying to create movies that like the action scenes felt like they're trying to create the feeling of an action scene and like the idea
Right.
of what it would be like to be there
Yep.
and be in it. But then somehow along the way we got very confused, and I feel like we even got to the point where complaining about shaky cam became a cliche, no one except no one was rushing to defend it either. Like we'd all
Yeah.
like we all were like complaining. But
Well,
like Quantum
most
of
people, the problem is that it's one of those things you have to know how to utilize. Like very few filmmakers know how to use shaky cam. So when the average person uses it, just kind of mess it up. They just think you just have to run around with a camera. It's like, no, dude, it have a aesthetic and a style to it. You still have to frame stuff up and whatever it is. And it's only a handful of filmmakers pull it off well. And like I don't know, it's like 80% of filmmakers who try shaky cam just fail. Whatever. Yeah, go ahead.
and that's not even getting into the film. That's not even getting into the filmmakers and stars who loved shaky cam because it was a way to like cheat with action scenes,
Right.
like Liam Neeson or Steven
Yeah,
Seagal.
yeah, easy worse. Yeah.
They would use shaky cam to hide that these actors can't do the action very well. So Quantum of Solace is in the middle of that, and it's bad because it encapsulates everything that was wrong with 2000s action films at the time. And then Skyfall, which I love that movie. I have two very distinct problems with it, but which I'll get more into. But what I also really appreciate about it was it finally for me felt like a delivering on a concept that I had wanted for James Bond for a long time. And because I had, as early as Connery, I had felt that rather than setting Bond against some megamaniacal villain of I will take over the world, I wanted to see him go up against either a professional assassin or a rival agent. And I felt like
Right.
that would
Yeah. Yeah.
like
That's
Right.
another thing I loved about Skyfall. To be honest. Yeah.
Yeah.
like the idea of like the because I love because I'm so tired. I'm generally tired of the cliche of be the villain. It's like, haha, you and I are the same. Because like so much of the time it's just words. It doesn't actually mean what they say it is when you sit down and think about it, like, wait, no, they're not. But with like setting Bond up against another agent, like the bad guy being a rival agent, is a brilliant thematic concept.
Yeah.
And I
It's why GoldenEye worked, right? Yeah.
Right, and there were so many moments where I felt like the early Bond films teased the idea but didn't deliver on it. Like I really love, like for example, for me, the reason I dislike Man with the Golden Gun is the idea of setting Bond against a professional assassin is genius, but then having it go so wrong,
For real. Huh?
so wrong was very disappointing. So Skyfall finally delivers on that concept, and like you're saying, like it kind of it's almost it's very self-aware and postmodern about the way it handles espionage and secret agents because not only is the bad guy like rivaling, the bad guy is like a disposed agent. Like the guy is like a secret and previous agent that was used and thrown away and is now back for like vengeance, and that is genius. And then like Roger Deakins and Sam Mendes work so well together. I mean, the visual language they use is brilliant, and I think that's what elevates Skyfall. Um, and then the problem with, and then you get Spectre, which was a crushing disappointment because, like, again, I've just watched 23 of these movies now, and the Craig films are finally giving me hope. And I'm like, okay, we're finally starting to get a little more self aware. We're exploring thematic ideas. And then Spectre. And I was like, and we're back. And we're back. And it's just this depressing feeling of we have run as hard as we can to stay in exactly the same place. It's the Red Queen effect. And I feel like the problem with Spectre and this is one of my major problems with Skyfall, we really couldn't go anywhere except Spectre with the way Skyfall ends. With like the way the way Skyfall ends with the whole thing. Spoiler alert if you haven't seen Skyfall, but the way Skyfall ends with the whole like the death of one M and the other M, and the new M, and then we've established Moneypenny, we've set up the gadget guy, and like the whole, and even the office is supposed to look the way it does in Doctor No. The problem is it ends with, and now it's the Bond you know and love, and I was like, oh.
Yep, that's the problem.
Right, I'm
They
like,
just have to go back to. They just have to stick with that formula.
we absolutely did. And like the problem is that ending, it turns the Craig films into a prequel series, kind of, in this weird way, like almost specifically of the Connery era. And then but it's so, and it sets up this precedent where then Spectre has nothing to do but retread old ground, and then Spectre does, but it ends up like, I'm falling out of favor with the man right at the moment. But Patrick Willems on YouTube made a great point that Spectre's plot twist is one that the villain and the hero were secret brothers. Like, Austin Powers uses that same twist as like a joke in one of
For
the.
real,
Yeah. Oh yes,
For
that's
real,
true.
yeah.
Yeah, but then we do it in Spectre, and it's supposed to be completely straight. And I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
And that single-handedly is what killed my interest for No Time to Die, because I'm sitting here like, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me
Fool me
twice,
twice, shame on me. Yeah.
By the time we get to time 25, I don't I don't know what to even say at this point anymore. So no.
Yeah, well, but I would love that, one day, maybe some years from now, you'll actually check out Bond 25 and you could, share your thoughts on that.
I'll definitely, like, I feel like what I'm going to, as I said, I'm going to wait until like my local public library finally picks up a copy like a year from now, and then I'll like borrow it and sit down and actually catch up, and probably like I'll make it no secret. Maybe I'll watch it and then also watch the parody Casino Royale. Also, never say never again, just to be a completionist. But like, I'm not in any hurry to spend good hard-earned money on the 25th film in this franchise after Spectre very aggressively was like, now we're back to the old Bond, and I was like, after 4 decades.
Yeah.
We spent 4 decades back in the same place. No, Craig. Two of my favorite Bond movies of all time, and one mess and one film that is like, a lot of people were throwing around things like Spectre is one of the worst Bond films of all time, and I'm like, nah, fam, nah.
No, it's not. Here, it's
Spectre,
bad. It's bad and a big disappointment, but not close to the worst.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, agree. All right, so I am just going to, what I will just do is just run through my top favorite to least favorite Bond team, and then afterwards I'll jump into favorite and least favorite Bond film, right? So, top favorite, I have to give it to Skyfall. Adele's song is still one of the best Bond teams I've ever heard in my life. It was much deserving of of an Academy Award. I was so happy that it won. I was happy that it got nominated to begin with. The visuals for the opening sequence are amongst the best I've seen. One of the best opening sequences I've seen to a Bond film ever, in my opinion. Adele's song it just stays with you, just so haunting and just so brilliant. And Thomas Newman's score for this is just masterful, in my opinion, right? Number two, we have Casino Royale. You know my name, right? Chris Cornell, you know what I mean, delivering the song here. And why this work though is, again, David Arnold behind the scenes. And I would say that he is probably one of the most he's probably one of the most underrated film composers out there, though, because I thought that as far as the music for Casino Royale, he just knocked out the park, though. But this particular song got just so pumped up, just got just so excited. Just that dun 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 dun, you know what I mean? That opens it, though. Just got just so like excited just to go back into the world of Bond, basically, right? So that's why I enjoy it. Third one, believe it or not, I'm gonna have to give it to Writings on the Wall, man, from Sam Smith. This was a song that I didn't really fancy the first time I heard it. Then when I saw it in the film, didn't really care for it though. But the more I think about it, though, I kind of realize why it's the way it is, though. And I would say that Thomas Newman's score for this, though, was brilliant. Like, I love the music for this particular song in particular, right? But because you were getting a sense of, oh, well, this is the end, like we're leading up to the end of, of Craig's run. That's why Sam Smith's vocals sound so mournful and so melancholy, right? And lyrically, it stays with you. It's really, it sounds very, very, very dramatic, though, but the dramaticness about it works in terms of what the film was going for. That's all I would say, right? Uh, Number four, I'm gonna give it to Billie Eilish for "No Time to Die." This was a song that the first time I heard it, I was like, okay, we're still doing this dreary, mournful, sad route. Okay, okay, okay. But in the context of the film, seeing that is the last one, it makes sense. And I thought that the Hans Zimmer's music behind it was great as well. Billie Eilish, not the biggest fan of her music, but she killed it. And right now she is, if I'm not mistaken, the youngest singer to do a Bond theme song, right? So I mean, props to her for that, right? But I would say though, why I prefer it over the last one is that it actually fits with again what they were aiming for with No Time to Die, right? Last but not least, unfortunately, least favorite, I have to give it to Another Way to Die, but unfortunately, I mean, Jack White is great. I love Alicia Keys and all that, and I would say David Arnold's score sounds is going for the same sort of fun vibe that the vibrant vibe that they were going for with My Name, but a little more jazzy, a little bit more edgy though. And I actually think that the music in this outshines the singers themselves, unfortunately, right? But yeah, lyrically, I just can't remember a single lyric from it, unfortunately, though. I remember cadences, but I don't really remember actual lyrics from it, though. Not saying that, the song is bad, it's just forgettable in my opinion, right? But the music is great, though, I must say, right? As far as uh best and worst Bond, sorry, in the Craig series, top for sure has to go to Casino Royale. But as I said before, this is hands down one of the best action films ever made. Though it just reinvented Bond in just such a great way, and it gave you just so much thrills. I mean, just from that opening sequence, how grimy it was, though, and it just didn't stop though. That parkour scene though is amongst one of the best, you know, chase scenes, like foot chase scenes I've ever seen on screen. Period, in my opinion, right? And like I said, Ricardo, though they made a card game, they made they made a poker game seem tense. You know what I mean? And it's just how they kept building this story, building it, building it, building it, building it, building it. Right? They give you a little moments of drama and all that kind of stuff, though. But it still kept you engaged, even right down to the end. You know what I mean? Just that brilliant conclusion. With Daniel Craig saying for the first time, names Bond, James Bond. Love that, right? As far as least favorite goes, no surprise, has to go to Spectre, boy. This one could have been so much better. Just the hype around it, just how they just had us so excited, like, oh my god, Bond's finally gonna take down Spectre. Like, this is a group that pretty much led Vesper's character, who played by Eva Green, to her demise. So now he's gonna take them down. I know it's just, well, oh, it's Blofeld, and I'm your brother, and they arrest him. So he doesn't even die in the film, right? So it was just a letdown in the worst ways, though. But like I said before in the previous, part of the special, I don't hate those films. I won't say any film is trash. Even Die Another Day, I won't say that is the worst thing ever, though. But as far as the Craig outings go by, yeah, this is easily the most disappointing film in the series, hands down. All right, so Ricardo, favorite top favorite to least favorite Bond team, followed by favorite and least favorite Bond film in the
Okay,
correct series.
okay, yeah, I kind of don't really rank them in my head per se, but yeah, my favorite is probably Skyfall, then the Casino Royale team.
All right, all right. I'll figure you that song on top though, because
Yeah,
that's how much you love Casino Royale now.
okay, yeah, yeah. No, but Skyfall is a better team. I like it
Mm.
more. Yeah, then Casino Royale is number two. The third one is probably this one, the new one for No Time
Oh,
to
No Time
Die.
to Die, right?
Yeah, then Spectre, and then the last one was the one with Alicia Keys and Jack White, I think.
Yeah, that's what you see. You see,
Yeah,
you don't
that
even remember who's in it.
yeah. It was just like kind of noisy and discordant. Like it didn't feel like a Bond song at all. It was weird. And
Yeah,
the two of them didn't mix at all. Like two of them individually good together, good by themselves, but together they just didn't work, Jude, for some reason. That's me.
I know, right?
I just remember they just didn't gel together particularly well. It's just kind of shocking. Yeah. So that's just my list on the music.
Right. So
For
best and worst Daniel Craig Bond film.
right, same as you. Skyfall. Sorry. Casino Royale, my favorite. Least favorite, Spectre. Skyfall is great, but I had some issues with it. Whilst Casino Royale, from top to bottom, I just thoroughly enjoyed it. Not a perfect film, but it just really, really well done. As I say, that scratching is in a movie, Dread. God damn, that's
I
amazing.
know, right?
That's hilarious. I can't
Yeah,
believe they put that in a movie. Like I can't believe that was in a Bond movie. Like it's
yeah,
serious.
yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
think anybody who saw that scene for the first time was like,
yeah,
oh shit,
yeah,
okay, wow. Like,
yeah,
is this gonna go? Is this like bordering on an hour here? What going on
yeah.
here? You know
No,
what I mean?
it was
Yeah.
just it's
Yeah.
hilarious. It's
All
absolutely
right.
hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, Tracy, the Music Man. So just
Yeah.
ranking, the Bond teams from top to least favorite, and then your pick for best and worst Craig Bond film.
Cool. So the thing with that I always love about a Bond film, a Bond theme, sorry, is you can, if you really play into the lyrics, you get a medium amount of spoilers as to what's going to happen. Um, and it's kind of hilarious like that. So for me, my favorite, following in line with the rest of you guys, is actually Skyfall. I remember,
Nice.
listen, I remember sitting down in my office, and 2 days before they start putting up, like they had the site up, and it's like, okay, 2 days before the theme, and oh my God, Adele is going to be running this theme, and how is this going to be great, and this is going to be amazing. And then like one day to it, and then like the day before, they put like a 30-second clip or something like that, and you hear Adele singing and a little bit of brass, and it's like, I need this. And then getting the actual song and walking all through Port of Spain with this thing in my ears, singing "This Is the End," and you knew somebody was going to die, and I genuinely thought it was either going to be they were going to do a new Bond and get rid of James because of something that they said in the lyrics, or it might have been M, and then of course it turned out that it was M. So Adele's Skyfall is my favorite. You Know My Name, Chris Cornell's You Know My Name
Mm-hmm.
is my second favorite in it. I like No Time to Die comes next. No Time to Die is a better writing on the wall. Um, I
I would agree. I would agree with that. Yeah. Yeah.
it feels like a better writing on the wall. And the funny thing about it is I actually quite like all of them as like singers. I will say though, I remember when Star Trek, the last Star Trek movie came out, and I heard the theme that Rihanna sang, the main song that Rihanna sang for it, and a Sledgehammer, whatever the name of the song was. And I thought she should do a Bond because this sounds like it should be in a Bond film more than a Star Trek film, but that's another story by itself. So the last two on my list, I actually used to kill Another Way to Die because I
Okay.
have the
Okay.
DVD. I have the DVD.
Uh-huh.
So, like, when you have the DVD, you have the special sections and you actually have the music video by itself.
Yes. Yes. There is
Um,
one. Yeah.
there is a part I will give it to. I agree with Ricardo. There is a part in it, like when they're doing the ohs and your
Mm-hmm.
voices doesn't match.
No.
But I do like again with the lyrics because he's just coming off of the betrayal and the death of his love. So the idea of the woman across the street, the person that you think that you can trust is just another way to die, that kind of stood out for me, but it's still in terms of like Bond themes. Okay, it's where it is. And then finally, in terms of least favorite, because it's not like they're bad, but least favorite is Writing on the Wall, which I
I
have
see.
made personally a few of my own spoofs while I'm standing up in the kitchen on that song. I don't know. I expected more. I expected them to do more with Sam because it's Sam, but I just wasn't feeling it. So at the end of the day, the top remains Skyfall, and the end remains Writing on the Wall.
All right.
And then in
Uh.
terms of
Right. No, I was gonna say right. So best and worst Craig Bond film.
so my best Craig films, I was kind of actually a little hard for me because I was thinking about the two of them. However, I am going to give best to Casino Royale.
Nice.
I give the best to Casino Royale. There's like these little random quips inside there, like when she comes and sits next to him on the train and she says the first line out of her mouth is "I'm the money," and he says every penny of it, and I remember chuckling. I remember him sitting down at the bar and the bartender asks him, uh, would you like it? And he says a martini, and she says, how do you like it, shaken or stirred? He says, do I look like I bloody care? And the rawness of him, because he's a double O, but he's not expected to live that long because double O's have a short life expectancy. And just even the that whole opening sequence that leads into the gun barrel, it's unpolished, he's still in his clothes. It's Vesper saying to him, they are dinner jackets, and then they are dinner jackets, and this is the latter. I loved it, and I didn't even see her being that twist at the end, finding out who she was actually working for, and that kind of stuff. I didn't see that. I knew they. I mean, they
I
would have
didn't
had
either when I
to.
first saw it.
So it was for me. It was cool. I mean, admittedly, when he's typed up the resignation letter and everything like that and sent it up, I thought to myself, well, if they have him for multiple bonds, there's going to have to be a way to bring something's going to have to happen to bring him back. But the idea that she was the mold or the one, and then reasons. So for me, Casino Royale is still my top, and then my worst, honestly, is Quantum of Solace. It is not
Oh,
Spectre.
okay, first one.
It
Well,
is
sorry,
not.
first one to see Quantum.
Yeah, it really isn't Spectre. Spectre's too long and whatever and that kind of stuff like that. And even the twist with Blofeld, okay, fine. Quantum of Solace, the problem I have with Quantum of Solace, and Ricardo started to touch on it, is there is a CEO of a big company. They do chocolates and milk and all sorts of other good stuff. And this man had the audacity to stand up and say that water is a privilege. This was a report that went out in around, just I think it must have been like either before or something around that same time. And he was saying water is a privilege and he doesn't think that everybody should have water and all this kind of thing. This is a man who uses gigantic amounts of water in his company's products. And it's like one of the major products even down here. And I remember seeing that and thinking and getting like legitimately disgusted by that whole scene. And then Quantum of Solace does this thing where they have the world's greatest resource, which you think would be oil, given the fact that they recreated the dead girl gold scene, but with oil and all that kind of stuff. And it turns out to be water. The idea that, these maniacs, these megalomaniacs, these, old rich people who are just trying to control the world thinks of water as a resource. I thought that that had potential. I thought that that story, even though, yes, he's coming off of the death of Vesper and he's still very, very rugged and all that kind of stuff, that had potential to go far, and it was not realized. Even with the other one that I know we're not all fans with, there's still something, the idea of, well, okay, is this just one guy who actually knows him and all this kind of stuff? Fine, they click some boxes and they do what they have to do. But Quantum of Solace, for the sheer lack of not reaching its full potential, remains the worst Daniel for me. I mean, like there were some fun moments in there, like, especially with M saying, florists use the same thing in hyperbole, and they have a man inside MI6 like everybody else. But I still find it's wasted potential. So that's my top and worst, or not so great, I should say, not so great Craig films.
All right, and CC, just to close things off,
Um,
Bond teams, top favorite to least favorite, and then best and worst, right? Sorry,
I
best and worst Bond film in
right.
the correct series. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I will. I'll try with both of these actually to work from worst to best, simply because I feel like I have been rather negative about this franchise, and I want to make it a little more positive. So I will, with as far as Bond themes go, I do not even remember Another Way to Die. Like I couldn't hum that one for you. Like I couldn't. Like I have no. And then I like You Know My Name. Like it's a fun track. I really love. I mean it's a lot of fun. It's one of the good Bond themes. But for me, for some reason, the three more like melancholy Bond themes from the Craig era are my favorites. There's something about the exhaustion and the pathos and about those three tracks that I honestly love, and it feels it delivers on a dramatic element of Bond that I wish was in these films more consistently, but I guess I'll have to settle for having it from the theme songs, because the theme songs at this point, especially those three, are all kind of self-contained narratives in their own right. So going up, Skyfall, Adele, really good. I love that one. And then Billie Eilish's No Time to Die. I'm Billie Eilish mega fan. I've been loving her evolution as an artist. And then with Johnny Marr on guitar is like kind of also amazing and brilliant. But I really love Writings on the Wall. I can barely quantify why it's not only one of my favorites of the Craig era, one of my favorite Bond themes, period. Like there's something, I think it's because it's such a self-contained narrative and it feels like its own story. And like I'm a big fan of effective singing, you know, like singing that has like a performative quality. It's one of the reasons why I like Prince and Tom Waits are two of my favorite musicians, and I really get that from Writings on the Wall. Like it feels like it almost like Smith is almost acting. Like there's a performative narrative quality to it, and it's one of the reasons. So I think that that's my favorite of the Craig Bond themes. And then as far as
I understand.
yeah, and then as far as the Craig Bond films go, also starting with worst working up. As much as I said both Quantum and Spectre are bad for different reasons, I feel like I will say Spectre is bad because like Spectre was disappointing because like after 20 like for me there was something especially disappointing about being 24 films into this franchise and having a film like this was the point where I really realized, okay, this franchise needs a syringe full of adrenaline at this point, because it needs a kick in the rear, because at this point the problem with the franchise, like the thing actively holding it back, is like the Bondisms and the Bond stuff at this point. Like that was the moment. Like Spectre for me is bad because it's like it encapsulates so much that I find that I don't enjoy or that I dislike from James Bond. So that for me ends up being my least favorite or worst of the Craig era. And then for favorite, it's honestly a split between Casino Royale and Skyfall. Because on the one hand, Casino Royale is a movie that I really love. It is, again, one of the best Bond films, but it's still got like a couple little Bond issues that hold it back from being like a perfect movie, obviously. And then Skyfall is a little bit more frustrating because Skyfall, a lot of people compare Skyfall to The Dark Knight, and I'm like, I actually appreciate that because I am not the biggest fan of The Dark Knight. So
yeah, I remember you said that. Yeah.
Right. So a movie like Skyfall that takes, and my big problem with The Dark Knight is that it's basically a movie about like an agent trying to catch some or a cop or something trying to catch a terrorist, and it's not a superhero movie. So so Skyfall takes that and makes and like if you took The Dark Knight and stripped any superhero surface level superhero trapping, you'd get Skyfall. And so Skyfall is everything I like about The Dark Knight with none of the things I dislike about or find frustrating about The Dark Knight. But the thing that holds it back are a couple like little Bond-isms that I find incredibly frustrating. So for example, for me, the biggest problem is the goddamn queer-coded villain. Like for me, that's the thing that like up until his introduction, I was like, this could be the first Bond movie I give a 10. Wow. And then this guy walks in and starts like, and not just queer coded, but like specifically leaning into the like predatory gay stereotypes.
Right.
And I'm like, you're doing this in the 2010s?
Yeah. It was pointless.
I would actually like love one of these days to like do a little digging up to find out why the decision of having Silver be
Be
played
that,
like
yeah.
that to begin
Yeah,
with.
that's pointless. Yeah.
Those
Oh,
fellows kind of like, all right, this is where they're going.
And they,
Okay.
they played for laughs to her. Like there's the scene
Yeah.
where the island. Like
Yes.
it's followed by a very brutal moment, but like it's still like okay. But
Hmm.
yeah.
and like he is otherwise he is one of the best villains Bond has ever gone with. Again, I love the idea of the discarded secret agent. Like it's
Yeah.
brilliant. And but then to add that element, like again, and it's not just making him like it would be bad enough if he was just like queer coded and like Bond was like, very, because especially since like Bond is, I mean, I know they throw in that what makes you think I haven't line to try and imply that maybe he's like either dabbled in it or is like bisexual or whatever. But
Yeah.
like at the end of the day, Bond is still very much like the hero of heterosexual men everywhere. But at the same time, so having like the pinnacle of masculinity go up against a villain that's not just queer coded, but is like the embodiment of like if like the again and the age old stereotypes of the predatory, creepy gay man whose gayness is the thing that makes him creepy and predatory. Like if I had to point out that trope to anyone, I would always say the villain Silver from Skyfall is the perfect example of that trope. It like encapsulates that trope in just every shape, size, form. And that it's weird to say that because I normally don't believe in like one element that can derail a film. But for me, that aspect of it, and especially since it's heavily loaded. Like you're setting up one of the most aggressively heterosexual male heroes in pop culture against a villain that is created with out of date, like a horrendously outdated gay stereotypes. And for anyone to try and pretend like, oh no, it's okay. No, it's not. Don't kid yourself. And it's a brutal shame. And this is like one of my major frustrations with this franchise because it's one of those things that like pulls it back. Because again, otherwise, this film is a goddamn 10. Like everything else about it is like the narrative, the performances, the cinematography, action choreography, and it would have been a 10. But then like that one element, and again, I also think that the very ending where it makes the whole thing like a prequel to the original series is very weak. Like for me, it kind of sets up the bigger disappointment of Spectre. So yes, of the Craig era, two of my favorite Bond films are tie for my favorite films of the Craig era, which are Casino Royale and Skyfall. And that's kind of like, again, they're brilliant films in their own ways, but they've got definite things holding them back. But they are films I feel like I would own. I keep running into them secondhand. Like I see the like widescreen 2-disc collector's edition for Casino Royale. At this point, I would own both of them. I would own Casino Royale and I would own Skyfall. And I feel like they connect enough that you don't even need Quantum of Solace. Like,
Nope.
Yeah,
you can honestly
you don't need it at all. Yeah,
you can just watch those two and call it a day. And I see them all the time secondhand. So I mean, especially since like I keep seeing the like pretty good looking like 2-disc collector's edition like widescreen release of Casino Royale. And I don't know why I haven't picked that up yet, but that'd be secondhand. But like no. So favorite of the Craig era, and two of my favorite of the 24 Bond films I've seen. My 5 favorites are Living Daylights, License to Kill, and then Casino Royale and Skyfall. And around Skyfall are my 2 favorites of the Craig era.
right, and absolutely no Sean Connery's.
If you made me, I would say
You only live twice.
only live twice. But again,
Yeah,
that one's got the one element that I'm like, I don't know.
yeah, that yellow face thing, you know. Yeah.
Yep.
God.